Hi everybody, it is Friday at about 5 o'clock and I'm home. This is my messy van. At the end of the week there's scrim thrown very random places. The tank is nearly out of water. So yeah, week is coming to an end and we're not working tomorrow because it's lashing rain, but I'm really looking forward to a full weekend off. But I'm going to talk to you inside in the warm because it's freezing. Right, so that's a little bit warmer. I'm here in the car now getting ready to go off and I've got to collect the kids. So what I wanted to do this video about was our podcast. If you search on iTunes or on Podcast Republic, if you're on Android, well then you'll be able to find our podcast that myself and Harry do. And it's called the Window Cleaning Podcast. It's been going for about 1.5 years now. We have about 80 episodes up there with loads of good information, and really it's a fun sort of listen to as well. It's not hopefully too boring. We did an episode the other week and it was talking about water-fed pole versus traditional, because there's loads of videos going around online at the moment about water-fed pole versus traditional. And like I can appreciate the traditional guys have a really good following and stuff like that, and the traditional guys do take an awful lot of pride in what they do, and they do a really good job, and they're real craftsmen at what they do. At the same time, I think that the water-fed pole takes an awful lot of craft, and it is possible to get bad results with the water-fed pole if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're just not quite as skilled, I suppose, at using the water-fed pole. It takes an awful lot of concentration to use it right. So maybe check out some of my other videos if you want to see more about kind of my water-fed pole techniques. But we always get good results. Now there's the very odd window that might have a tiny bit of spotting on it or something like that, but that's because of a mistake more than anything else. So listen to the podcast, I suppose, if you want the full kind of lowdown on that. The podcast didn't go down completely well in all quarters. That some traditional guys didn't like what we were saying necessarily about the water-fed pole, but that's okay. Like, we have to give our honest opinion as well. And there's a really good friend of Harry's that fell off of, he was replacing a slate, actually just the top of the gutter. So he wasn't necessarily on the roof, he was just changing slate out, and he slipped and fell to the floor, landed kind of in a sitting position, and he's nearly crippled for life. He's just in agony every single day of the week, and that's a real crappy sort of way to go through life, all because of using, you know, a ladder rather than, I don't know if there's a better way of doing it, with maybe a mini scaffolding or something like that. So where I kind of come down on the water-fed pole versus traditional is, like, today I did some traditional on some shops just because it was easier than getting the water-fed pole out of the van. I think the people that think that water-fed pole is a hassle is because maybe they don't have a full van system with a tank in the van ready to go. Like, we literally open the doors and flick on the controller and walk, and there's no setup time. I just really think that safety is number one. Like, sure, some of our top windows, okay, let me put it this way. If 1 in 100 windows has a little bit of spotting on it, I'd still prefer, now we never get called backs over stuff like that, but I prefer to get a call back over that rather than a fall and landing on the floor. Like, I've seen stuff in the Facebook groups where there's guys and they're doing all sorts of crazy overreaching up ladders and stuff like all of that is fine. Like, I climbed ladders for 10 years before I got the water-fed pole system, because I'm doing it now about 17 years. So, like, I've climbed loads of ladders, and fortunately I was I was once on a ladder and the ladder slipped, but I stayed on the ladder, and like I had bruising and stuff like that. So I was one of the lucky ones that I didn't injure myself. But there's loads of guys out there that are injuring themselves, and again, if you can't afford the water-fed pole, you know, that's fine as well. I'm not mocking doing stuff traditionally, but if I had to give an opinion on which one is better and which one is safer, it would have to be water-fed pole every time. And I don't think that, and I begrudge to say that the water-fed pole doesn't do as good a job, because I think the water-fed pole sometimes does a better job than doing stuff traditionally. I think if you can afford the water-fed pole, why not get it, and why not do a job quicker, making more money? And I know, again, people say no, but I just charge more, but I don't think you know the full story. Why not make more money doing a job safer, and sometimes even doing a job better? I was going through my bank statements because I was doing a bit of filing in the office, and I was going through the bank statements for 2013, and that would have been just as I was buying the water-fed pole system. And my account, because I was doing it traditionally from a car, I had a van, and then my van got crashed into and written off, so I bought a car, and I had the car for about a year, and I did it with the ladders on the roof of the car. And then in 2013 I bought the pole system, and I bought the van. And so 6 years I have the water-fed pole system. And or was it 12? Anyway, something like that. But my bank statements for that time, as I was kind of filing all this stuff away, you know, it was in the overdraft more than it was in the good. And I just, like, it just kind of caught me, and I remember back to those times, and it was a real kind of shitty time to go through, having, you know, being so broke. Now, I know we were in the middle of a recession and stuff like that, but I remember struggling to make mortgage payments, hoping that my customers were in, going collecting, hoping that customers were in, and it was just a real hard time to go through. There was nothing really enjoyable about that, and I kind of bit the bullet. I said, you know what, I'm going to get a loan, I'm going to get a good van, and I'm going to get the pole system. And I think I borrowed about 10 grand in total from the bank, and bought it. And yeah, and the rest of it is history. And bit by bit it started growing, and then I started advertising more, and I started putting I got sign writing on the van and all of that sort of stuff, and things kind of grew from there. But like from the very start, like, things were really, really shaky. You know, I even wondered about stopping window cleaning, whereas the water-fed pole opened up so many options for me, and I was able to go from just traditional work to water-fed pole work, which means then I could do commercial work. And then if you see my Facebook page, we use the commercial work to build up a brand, so that if people are getting us in, they know they're getting fully insured, you know, fully certified, safety papers. They know that everything is above board. They know that we're VAT registered. They know they're getting a trusted company in to know what they're doing. So we put all of our stuff on Facebook, so that if a private person is getting a quote from us, they really don't haggle on the price, because they know what they're getting, versus the competition who don't have any of those things. So, or some of them do, but not many of them. There's loads and loads of guys going around doing it traditionally off of cars and stuff like that. And over here in Ireland anyway, health and safety is getting to be a big, massive thing. And so people asking for insurance, and, you know, wanting proper outfits to come and do work for them. And I was never able to really do that with the with doing things traditionally. So water-fed pole has opened up so many different avenues, and more cash flow, and having more money in general has, you know, helped me to open up the carpet cleaning side of things. And I'll do another video. I was on the carpet cleaning course, so I need to do another video and update that. I went over to Cumbria for that, and that was a great learning experience as well. So, and again, that's brought us to me having 2 employees on the tools, and now they're part-time, even though they get to do loads of hours, and it kind of drifts up more than part-time sometimes. But it's such a difference to the world that I was operating in. And so there's been massive kind of growth and just real changes in that way in the last while. And all because of trying to grow all the time. Like when I was Waterfed Pole, I was stuck and I was stagnant at the one thing, which was a problem money-wise, but it was also a problem for personal development, because I like growing all the time and I like new challenges, and I like doing the commercial stuff, not just, doing the same stuff all the time, or kind of just houses and stuff. Like I really do like doing the commercial stuff. So and yet I get to, have my Mormon stuff and have my gunslinger and, doing... So I still get my traditional fix when I need it, when I'm doing inside of houses and stuff like that. So, so we'll have to see what this year brings. The weather has been really, really bad with storms and wind and all that kind of jazz. So, the carpet cleaning has been very helpful. But the window cleaning season will get going even more and more, even though it's been ticking away steady. It'll get going more and more, and I hope it's going to be a really good progressive year. So I suppose if you're on the fence about Waterfed Pole, I would definitely try and get maybe even only a DIY trolley system and a way of getting pure water, or buy it if you're in England from the stations. And just give it a go, because for safety, like if for nothing else, for safety, you can say I view myself as fairly handy and fairly clued in at what I'm doing. You never know when that next gust of wind out of the blue, or somebody's going to knock against the ladder, or a ladder's going to slip. You never know, or just absent-minded, you do something stupid. You never know what's going to happen around the corner. You never know when the next fall could be you, and that could be it. Like, at what cost? And that's kind of what we were talking about in the podcast. At what cost do you want to make sure that you've bronze pad and that a window is 1,000% clean, rather than a really, really good job? Like, what's the cost of that? You being up there? Because if you fell and injured yourself, they'll go looking for a new window cleaner and they won't think twice about it. So that's kind of my rant for today. I really would, and if you're a traditional guy that wants to stay where you are, and in 10 years time, in 20 years time, is going to be happy doing the exact same thing, being a craftsman at what you do, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine too. But just because you go Waterfed Pole doesn't mean that you don't care about a good job. It doesn't mean that you don't do a great job. And it doesn't mean that you don't have happy customers. But what it does mean is that you get to come home on a Friday uninjured. So I think that is that rant about that.